So thank you. We've got CT, we've got Paul, a couple of other people might join us, but we're going to jump in because this is your practical AI masterclass, an opportunity for me to take you on a whistle-stop tour around what's hot right now on the internet. And I will just say, a point of disclosure at the beginning, I love AI, and I did grow up over the last 12 years surrounded by people much smarter than me, preparing me for the world that we are in today. People like Andreas Weigand, who wrote the algorithm for Amazon, people like you, who taught me that privacy is an illusion. And so I very much approach technology with a little sense of an understanding that there is privacy and there's security, and then there is obviously the world that we kind of live in. So don't take anything that I show you as God. Make sure that you always triple check your sources and and let's have a little bit of fun. So what I like to do before we begin is find out, where are you with AI today? Paul, are you using it? Have you got a GPT yet?
Sure. All of the above. And I'm like you, I'm in love with it. I wrote a post recently that talked about, in a really interesting way, the humanness of it now. And there's a special reason for doing that, because I think that what AI does is enable us to unlock that humanness in really interesting ways. So yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd on it, and I was mentioning to the team yesterday that um, I said I'm not sure it's just me, but I am finding I'm now spending more time on it than I did before, and therefore gaining much more, not necessarily more time back at this particular, well, this week,
Mm.
because what I'm doing is going deep, and that requires a fair bit of time. And so, what GPT-5 does for me, and you know, in 3 minutes, it would have taken me 3 weeks to do. So,
Mm.
yeah,
I think the key is to harness the time as you go. So I've got a productivity get your shit together masterclass on purpose, because as you
all right,
find that new time, it is about consciously reinvesting it so that you don't end
great.
up sort of wasting all those hours away. And I really love that moment where you sort of realize, oh my goodness, I've really optimized. I've got time in my diary. What should I do with this time? And so I'm a big fan of like consciously harvesting as you go. I think it's a
Right.
beautiful way to go about it.
Yeah, great.
Um,
I'm looking forward to hearing where you're going. Yeah, it's
cool.
great.
CT, I
That's
don't know
why
if
I'm
you want.
here, is it?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to join the call. You can put your camera on if you like, or you can just listen in. Up to you. How you
Oh,
going? So you AI enthusiast?
you're muted, CT.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There you go. Yeah.
Clearly, technology is not my strength. Keen
Okay,
to learn
cool.
more about it. I use an AI scribe tool. So I'm a
Yep.
clinical psychologist, and I use an AI scribe tool in my practice, which I love. Um, but also just keen to try and learn more about AI and think about how I could integrate that and use that more so in my work.
I love it. Oh my goodness, I love it. Okay. So I was going to show you, I'm still going to show it to you. I was going to show you guys one tool this morning that just completely blew my mind, because
Go for it. We love
I
it.
think that's super fun just to show you, I think, a different application of AI. So, because I've spent a little bit of time in design, I'm interested in how the large language models can then accelerate the application of our thinking, our ideas, and how we bring them to life. And there are various ways that we make in this world. We make through conversation, we make through emails, we make through, social media, we make in person, we make product, we make service. There's various ways to sort of make. And so I'm curious about how AI can accelerate and improve the making process. So this tool just absolutely blows my mind. I'd love, CT, for you to tell me a little bit about your practice. So if you could just describe to me in a sentence or two what you do, what your practice is, and the name of your business, if possible, please.
Yeah, sure. So my business is called the Moore Centre, and the practice is sort of clinical psychology intervention, primarily for children and adolescents with obsessive compulsive disorder and tic disorders and those related neurodevelopmental conditions.
Amazing. So Clinical Psychology Intervention Centre for Youth, can we say?
Yep.
Neurodiverse. Do you want to give me a few more words?
I would say OCD and tics. Neurodiversity often brings in autism and ADHD,
Yep.
and that's probably not my special interest, but for youth with OCD and tics and related conditions
And
and
related.
anxiety, I guess.
Okay, cool. Anxiety and related condition. Okay.
Congratulations on the work you're doing.
I love the work you are doing. And as a mother of a child with tics, and a wife of a husband with OCD, I feel like we could talk for hours.
Ah, you're in the right place. So.
Yeah. So in the past, CT, if you had wanted to build a website, obviously there's lots of different ways that you go about that. A web designer would usually take a big detailed design brief and they would then think about what that kind of website layout would be. And so they would create what we call a sitemap. The sitemap then informs the information that's required, the content that's required. And then, of course, the final step is to then start designing that and make that something that's usable. So here we, as you can see, we've got a very, very quick sitemap. So it's suggesting a brief introduction to the Moore Centre with a strong call to action, an overview of the section, the testimonial, the benefits, specialized treatment plans, experienced professionals, evidence-based practices, and then, various areas of a site that you could kind of go from there. Okay, so this is like great. Usually that would take you, I don't know, couple of days, 3 days, 3 days, probably, even if you've got templates, because you actually want to make sure that you're really deeply understanding what that website needs to sort of include. So after you've got the sitemap, you can then start to wireframe. And wireframing is fabulous because it
Oh,
really,
so this does the wireframe as
yeah,
well. Well,
the wireframing helps us visualize what this sort of thing is. Again, wireframing can take weeks, because designers usually, start to sort of think about what this looks like. And so we don't want to override that because we're already thinking about that now. Um, so it's just put together this wireframe for website. So it's got the pages here, very roughly kind of starting to sort of put that together.
so this would be like a Figma document kind of thing, right? So,
Correct. And this actually interacts with Figma, which is just unbelievable. Here we can then start to play with the actual color of the design. So we might like to use various sort of colors here. We'll choose our
oh,
fonts.
what a lovely opening sentence. That's
Yeah.
a lovely
Yeah.
hook. What a
It
lovely
is,
hook
right?
that is.
Empowering youth to
Right.
overcome mental health challenges. At the Moore Centre, and then you could have your photo here, transforming care for mental health, that sort of thing. So
That's
in,
brilliant.
what is it, 2 minutes, we've been able
That
to
is brilliant.
prototype up a site for UCT, and then you get to do things like, actually, no, that's not what I do. I prefer to say it this way. I prefer to talk actually up front about the OCD and the tics, and that's really what kind of draws people in. And so what you get to do is you actually get to really focus on refining that stuff, which sometimes actually gets a little bit ignored because you're so focused on trying to build something. I get that.
Absolutely right. Absolutely, 1,000% correct.
And so if we just take
Uh,
it through to design, we'll then get a little bit of a look at, within 3 minutes, what we can create from a one sentence prompt.
and then does it do the whole sort of HTML stuff
Yeah.
and now?
So see how this
Yeah.
one has a button here? It'll click to Figma. And so
Oh
you can actually
wow!
change it to
And
HTML and pop it in.
and it builds webflow sites. Oh my God,
This is
we
Paul, I
have a
can see that
webflow
this is
site.
this has blown my mind. This in 3 minutes has done what my design teams used to spend months,
Oh,
months,
months
months,
and many thousands of dollars.
and many, many thousands of dollars. But it illustrates a point that I'm obsessed with at the moment, and that is garbage in, garbage out, and why we need to get better at prompting, and why we need to think like artists when it comes to what we put in. We need to be connected and conscious. Each word becomes like a color. It becomes
Mm.
like an actual set of instructions.
Yeah.
And the words that we use create the worlds that we're seeking to make. And so my long obsession with words feels even more relevant today than ever
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
because the words that we're choosing will effectively determine the design that comes out at this other end.
Yeah.
So I thought that that was just a fun place to start because, as I said, the power of this stuff is really becoming quite limitless. And actually, when we jump into these tools, our imagination becomes the most important thing. And I have found a couple of times recently when I've opened up, I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. Like I feel like I have the keys to the universe and I don't even know where to start. And that's someone who's been experimenting with this stuff for a while. So I thought it would be fun to show you guys today how to create our own little custom GPTs. CT, are you using GPT at all?
Not well, no.
That's cool. By the end of this, not only are you going to be using it well, you're going to be using it better than at least 95% of the population. Not everyone is creating custom GPTs yet. We've got people along a maturity curve. They're going anywhere from I'm using AI to help me choose what to have for dinner tonight, to I'm using AI to figure out why my husband's gas smells so much right now, all the way through to, and CT, you probably found this, I'm using AI to diagnose myself and understand myself better.
Yeah.
Um, as a sort of like therapist, if you like, or
Mhm.
companion. And with all of these, people are using them and getting better at prompting. But the next step for me is when we start to actually customize these GPTs and give them jobs. And what I've noticed over the years is that let's just say tomorrow you suddenly get funded, CT, an investor comes in, they give you $100 million and they ask you to expand your practice. When that happens, people are sort of like, oh, wow, where do I start? I've suddenly got $100 million and all of these resources, and I'm not entirely sure where to start. So I like to give people that where
You
to
didn't know
start.
that was going to happen in the web event, did you, CT?
Yeah. Yay.
No,
This
but
is
I'm
The,
called
so glad I
Sarah.
signed up.
yeah, yeah.
This is
The
called Sarah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Blowing your mind.
The
Yeah.
um the beauty and magic of that question is that really AI has
Yeah.
that
Really.
capability. Like you have been given this very, very cheap and very, very powerful resource, and you have got the opportunity, if you use it right, to really genuinely expand your impact. And actually, what we need to do is take a step back and really think about, okay, well, if I did have suddenly the team of my dreams, what would that team of my dreams be doing every day? What would be the projects that I'd get them to be working on? What would be the workflows? What are the SOPs? Now, these are some of the questions that we can ask ourselves to help us really start to extend and expand our thinking and prepare us for this amazing limitless technology. So you'll see just down the left-hand side here, I have got a lot of custom GPTs because I had, I mean, I'm a mother of five, so like, of course, I'm good at creating. Um, but I've had a lot of fun experimenting with these different GPTs and seeing what's possible when you set them up in different ways. Now, one of my favorites, and CT, you'll find this, I think, quite fascinating. As
Those are
a,
all GPTs that you've
yeah,
created, by the
they're
way.
all custom
Yeah.
GPTs that I've designed.
Okay.
So as a
Ask a
mindset
question,
coach,
Sarah.
yes, go for it.
I don't I don't even know what a custom GPT is.
Let me show you then. Okay. So if we go into my GPTs just on the left side there, you'll see here there are all of these different versions of GPT, and there's limitless. There are grammar checkers, humanizers, marketing research analysts. There'll be an OC, I'm sure there'll be something around OCD um,
And
because
these are things
there we go, an OCD coach. These are things that
things
people
that she's created. Right?
This
Yeah.
this is someone else has created this one. So this is a
Oh,
scientific
okay.
and empathetic CBT assistant for OCT. It's got all these great ratings over 5,000 conversations, and you can start a chat with that in your GPT, and it will guide you through a set of conversations. So you can think of these as, you've obviously got your GPT, which you can go in and you can have a conversation with, and that's a large language model that's learning, mirroring, evolving, and anticipating based on the conversations that you're having with it. These have a little bit more of a backbone. So these have a little bit more programming to them. Um, what they have is a set of instructions. They might have some do's and don'ts. They might have a PDF attached. They may have web search enabled or not. And each of these little changes really changes the way that you interact with it. So it's going to give you a different experience when you're in there. So one of the GPTs that I created was actually a She OS. So this one was I thought if I got hit by a bus tomorrow and I've got three beautiful daughters, what would be some of the wisdom that I would want them to learn about their bodies and about their cycle and about their health? And so I programmed a She OS GPT. It's a She operating system that will check in with you based on your age and give you just a little nice interaction. My girls absolutely love this. So you can check in and say like, hi, and it'll say, hey, where are you at today? It'll ask you how many springs have you bloomed through? I've bloomed through 42 springs. So then it will just meet me where I'm at. It'll say, right, you're in this 40 to 59-year-old in this age. These are the things that are kind of relevant to you. And in it, it's actually got some hormonal stuff. It's got some perimenopause research, and I can continue to feed this GPT with insight and research, and it can become kind of a custom experience. Another one was feeding my book into a custom GPT to become a mindset coach for my clients. So it will check in, self-checking it, self-location is one of the key things that I talk about in the Wonder Mindset, helping you kind of understand where you're at. And I use a nested clarity compass to help people kind of figure out where they are. And then once they've kind of done that check-in, they can kind of go through there and ask a series of questions. I did create a prompt detox recently because I actually thought people are going to start to get really overwhelmed by the amount of prompts that are out there, and like coming back to how do you actually reset your neural or ancestral code. I thought that might be a bit of fun. And then we've got some that we've set up for our business. So I've got the Community by Design Architect. This is to help you figure out what's kind of going on in your community. So what's not working in my community right now. And we've actually built a blueprint that goes in the back end and takes you through some questions to help you figure out, well, what might be going wrong in my community right now.
And CT, these are very, very. I don't want to undercomplicate what Sarah's done here, but these are done just for a very simple
Yeah,
set of
I'm
English
about to show
language.
you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
So I'm about to show you how to create your own. And actually, I can guide you through it. And I'm going to give you some hacks because I've definitely recognized that there are better ways to set these up. And some of them, uh, for example, if you, CT, wanted to create quite a structured process to take people through, even an onboarding process, for example, you will set that up a little bit differently than if it's something that's a little bit more information based, for example. So the way that I like to start is actually just in the create zone. So there's two ways you can create and configure. When
And
you,
this is just a tab, by the way, on GPT,
yeah,
right? On GPT-5. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So did you follow that? I'll just take you through again. So that's there, the GPTs. You go to create here in the right corner, and then we go to create again. And here, I mean, we can create anything we like. One of the first GPTs that I actually set up was around my kids' school newsletter because I was so overwhelmed by all of the newsletters, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I can't read these all the time. So I created a school admin assistant that would be able to help me understand what's happening in the schools on a weekly basis. And then what I did was I configured it to look at the websites as well as the overall annual attachments that have been sent out and provide me with an overview of what was sort of happening in the school. And that worked really, really well. But I'm going to tap into the collective genius in the room. What is a GPT that we would like to experiment with? And let me help you build it.
Go for it, CT. Go.
I don't really know. I'm
Something that
trying to.
What's a
you do
pain point in
regularly,
your
or
current
yeah,
practice?
that's
Hmm.
great.
It's a pain point.
I
Well,
wish, I wonder.
aside from my business partners, um,
Yeah,
I think
that's
that,
actually interesting. It could be a business partner coach, like a business
you know what I
coach.
would actually like to think about doing is um, designing. Um, so if I think about passive income stream kind of things,
Yep.
it would be sort of webinars and that kind of stuff that put out content to families,
Yep.
and then you sort of tap into ask the expert sort of times at different points. So you're not completely removed from the content,
Yep.
but the webinar is a sort of standalone, or I don't even know if webinar is the right word, but some ways of disseminating information to parents
Hmm.
that doesn't require you to be the one-on-one provider of that all the time.
Love it. And you're actually describing a human in the loop design, which is actually my my
Mhm,
my favorite type of AI integration is where we still have a human element and then we're
mhm,
using AI to enhance, but we're also not giving away necessarily all of the agency, if you like, to the AI. So we can be a
mhm,
little bit more kind of controlled in the way that we create that. So what we might configure with something like that is a knowledge database. So what you would do is you would upload the content that you are doing the webinar on. So look, an example, I'm actually doing, I'll do it for a webinar that I did recently and I'll build it to show you what that could look like. So I did a Brave Leadership webinar recently. Um, so this could be, I've done the webinar and now people want to dig a bit deeper. So we don't want them to search the web because they're going to be searching within the knowledge base that we're providing, but
mhm,
it's still going to have all of the large language modeling. So it's still going to have all of the wisdom within that was already there, if that makes sense. But it's not going to go
mhm.
off and kind of search for new information. If I wanted it to search for new information, I would enable the web search. I think that's just a useful thing to kind of know. In terms of the
Is that,
recommended
is that
model,
for me? If I was building it, it would be, do you mean like the content that I put into it
mhm.
versus also then the GPT accessing additional information from the web?
Yeah, so it's already got information in it, but it's not then going and getting new information.
Uh-huh.
And why you might turn that off is because you're actually trying to keep it a bit more closed circuit. You're trying to teach it to just come back into the knowledge base.
Mhm,
It's one of the things that I've noticed because otherwise it loves to go to the web first. It really loves to kind of see what's current, what's new, what's out there
yeah.
that I can have a look at and that I can pull in. It's really like dopamine seeking, which I find
Mhm,
quite sweet. So if you
yeah.
switch that off, it's more likely to go to the knowledge base first. But you can actually say to it in the configuration. Oh, my screen's just got there. That we please reference the knowledge base first always, for example. And then you might say, the do's and don'ts. So the instructions are very much like if you've onboarded a brand new grad and they've walked in and you've said, this is your job.
Mhm,
I want you to do this. And that's one of the reasons why I said if you're building your dream team right now and you are actually getting them to do things, what are the projects? What's the SOPs? What's the job description? So I will often actually go into AI and say, and I usually talk to it, so bear with me.
Yeah,
Hey, I want to
talking
create
with it is
a
so fun.
new
Yeah.
job description for an AI that's going to help be a really seasoned facilitator of the Brave model within the Wonder Mindset. So we want the people to really embed the learning that they've learned on the webinar. So we'll be referencing the knowledge materials first. If you can make sure that this is really warm and humorous and replicating the tone of Sarah Pirie-Nally during the session, that would be fantastic. Thank you. So just like have a little chat, do a little download. Um, I'm really big on not colonizing language, so actually speaking to it rather than actually trying to get it onto text first is a
Oh,
big thing.
yeah, it makes such a difference when you're having a conversation, as in,
Yeah,
as opposed to that's a key thing, CT. You would get so much more the
I
moment you
agree. And
start
Paul, I
doing it.
think one of the reasons why you are finding like that it's got such great personality is that it learns from you, right? So
Oh,
in
very
this
much, yeah.
instance, I'm giving that why this role matters, all that sort of stuff. We're giving it a little bit of that. Now, with the conversation starters, you would have seen when I opened that other one, it had four little boxes there. These you can choose to put if you like. I find, oh, let's give it a little preview and see what it does. Okay, cool. So it's taken back to the content, which is good. Now, it's worth checking your content because it does take creative rights a lot of the time.
Mhm.
It'll be like Brave stands for this. It's like no, Brave doesn't stand for that. You need to go back to what we said it does stand for. So it is actually about like configuring it, making sure that it sort of has that thing. In the create, you can then actually ask it for things. So you can be like, hi, this is a tool that will be provided after a webinar. We want the students to embed the learning, but do so through conversation, question,
And she's typing that, by the way. Look at
make sure that, yeah.
that. You're so much quicker than me.
Just for example. So in this, it then goes through and actually updates the GPT. So there we go. It's come up with these three little, what's one idea from the webinar you're still thinking about? How could you
That's
apply
so
this
cool.
concept to your
That's
own
so,
life?
so cool.
It's sweet, eh? And then you can give it a little photo. So I'm kind of like these little X's that I've got in my design thing.
Are you seeing how easy it is to create the GPT CT?
Yep, there's lots of words I don't understand that you're using.
Okay,
But,
go, shoot me. Do you want to ask?
oh no, I've forgotten what they are, but it looks like um, it just needs lots and lots of practice jumping back and forth to see what you get out with these things.
A bit
Yeah, but
like when you
that
first onboard a new person into your business,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you're giving them, you're like, oh, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? It's one of the reasons why I actually like people to start with a time in motion study. So really baseline, how are you doing things today? How are you talking to people? How do you brief people? How do you get things done? Because if you've done that, you're then more likely to be able to pick that up and actually take it and brief in something useful and that's actually going to be an extension of your authentic way of working.
Mhm.
What were you going to say, Paul?
no, no, no. I was going to say that if CT was putting in stuff that she's familiar with, we wouldn't understand that either. So
Yes.
it's not
Mhm.
the. Does that make sense? So you
Yeah.
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
you just kind of
yeah,
you just kind of go with it, and it will figure out exactly what you're saying within the context of where it wants you to go. So, or where you
yeah.
want it to go, I could say. Yeah.
So I
And that
think
and that's the key thing. Just literally do it
playing, I
and and
know.
and, and see what happens, right?
Absolutely. So I'm going to
Mhm.
show you another quick one, which I
Did you just
love.
go to Grok? You
I've
did.
gone,
Oh
I've
my
gone to
goodness.
Grok. I really love Grok. I've used Grok for deep research. And actually it might be interesting to just do a little bit of a run here. So please. So just a quick kind of ask.
And
Now,
funny thing, Elon would know.
You would know, CT, like coming across, peer-reviewed research, latest academic papers, like it just used to be so difficult to get access to that stuff, and you'd have to pay
Yeah.
various things to kind of access. So with something like this, and you can run this in GPT as well as Grok, I really rate Grok's research process. I'm still thrashing GPT-5 for it.
Oh yeah, okay.
I did a comparative study the other day and I still
Did
got better
you?
quality. Yeah, so I still got better quality resources from Grok. So I did get a longer list and a more kind of dialed in, same prompt, which I found quite interesting. So I think it's worth doing it across a couple of different platforms. Grok still has a free version that gives you research. So that's really useful to know. And Perplexity, you can also run a couple of searches each day without having to sign up for some of the paid versions. I recommend to everyone to choose one paid version and go with it. I do have paid versions across most of them because I'm like experimenting and teaching this stuff, and so it kind of makes sense. But it's good to know that there are ways to access a lot of these without having to pay for all of them. If you did want to experiment with lots of them at once, there's a platform called Poe, Poe. Poe actually gets access to all of the different GPTs. And when you're building your own, you can actually choose which one you're using. So you could choose Claude, you could choose Perplexity, you could use Chat GPT. And there's some really funny memes out at the moment that sort of show like Elon Musk and Sam Altman in the boxing ring with their GPTs doing fights. At the end of the day, I think it is worth being aware that there really are only a couple of key players that are kind of in the world domain right now when it comes to this technology. So here's just an overview of emerging research in OCD, tics, and anxiety in children. And what you'll find is it's obviously got the authors, the journal, the publication date, but it'll give you a little summary in terms of the key findings and emerging insight. This has completely changed my brain. Like just my curious self, I have gone down every rabbit hole known to man. And I'll send this to you so that you can have a read because I'm sure that it'll be super interesting for you. But what it will also show you is the web pages that it's gone to. So then you can ask for a full resource list. And then what I like to do with something like that is I will take that across to a little GPT that I created, which is a bias checker. So if I was going to publish something, for example, and I'd used some of the research that I had found, I'll just get it to guide me through like a bit of a thing or help me cleanse for confirmation bias before I post this. So it's interesting because the different GPTs all have ever so slight biases embedded. And so by building a bias check-in, it makes sure that it kind of makes sure that you kind of check it. So, you know, what am I most hoping people will take away from this overview? Is there a conclusion or theme that I've subtly or overtly emphasized? Might I be spotlighting findings that align with what I already believe about childhood neurodiversity or treatment models? And that gets you to question your prompt as well. So you start to sanitize your prompts so that you can be really scientific about the way that you search, which I think is super useful. Are there any findings I downplayed, overlooked, or left out because they contradict or complicate the emerging narrative? Did studies challenge the efficacy? Am I privileged to certain types of research or voices? I love checking this one because actually a lot of the time these research models will provide you with fairly Western kind of research. And so I'll specifically prompt for feminist literature, Indigenous literature. Like I'll really, really think about designing a prompt that makes sure that I'm getting that diversity when it comes to my research, which I think is really super powerful.
Well,
And then
super
obviously
powerful
sort of
and astonishing. I mean, so many people wouldn't do that. So,
no, I think it's a nice step, and I really think that's how you can kind of take this and make sure that you're doing it with some guardrails. Because what I've noticed over the last couple of years is it's not adoption that's the problem. It's actually the application. So when people get good at AI, they then start to get very, 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 very creative. And suddenly they're just like exploding with even more ideas and like even more things to say and they're just feeling so excited, but they're not necessarily pausing and thinking about, okay, well, hang on a second, what is it that I'm trying to say? And how might I be even more powerful with my voice if I'm actually pausing and putting it through those kind of checkpoints.
So Sarah, if you look at the left hand listing there that
Yeah.
you've got, would it be fair to say that at the beginning, or is this what you actually do? So you've got, I don't know how many you've got there, but I certainly don't have that many, but I might after this.
Mm.
And would you kind of start your day and then follow a sequence of the GPTs in a particular way that are getting you everything you need to start, or how would you do that?
I'm probably not that organized if I'm real. I'm more of a designer, right? So I sort of start with what is it that I'm trying to solve? Actually, let's just go back here. So I use a thing called Notion. So
Yeah, Notion is
obsessed.
really cool.
I'm so obsessed with Notion. Notion is my second brain. So in
Yeah.
Notion, I have my consulting business.
And you've got all the SOPs and
I have our
stuff there, right?
community,
So, yeah.
etc. And why this is useful is that I can actually go into Notion and say, what do I need to focus on today? Um,
Okay.
because otherwise, especially with all the time that I've been able to create for myself by automating a lot of things and by keeping a really simple business model, I was actually finding you can just lose a day. Like in GPT, you can just end up just playing all day and you're like, what is it that I actually need to do? So what we've done is we've integrated Notion with Slack and our email and our everything. And so I can actually go, right, this is what I need to get done.
So
But
you're in Notion now, and then you've got a sequence.
I
Yeah.
do, but I'll just quickly share what we did was we also started to track our energy.
Uh,
Now, why that's useful is that there are obviously different times of like every ebb and flow where you'll just be like not in the mood for it. That's actually what stalls things. So it says like looking at your recent productivity patterns, you seem to be in a strong flow state with strategic work and content creation. This would be an ideal day to tackle the stewardship Antarctica deadline while maintaining momentum on the business launches. So that then takes me into the stewardship page. I'll then make progress on that particular thing. So that would be where I would start my kind of creative process.
wow.
Does that make sense?
It certainly does. It certainly does.
And
I hope you're reading my tonality in there.
I know.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm probably not though, because remember how neurodiverse I am, Paul. So
Well,
I'll double quickly. I'll need you to explain it to me. I go, yeah, yeah. No, I don't actually understand what you mean. Okay, so CT, let's just say you've done that research and you're now wanting to present this to pediatric mental health clinicians, researchers, and informed caregivers to give them the unraveling threads, OCD, tics, and anxiety in children. I would then take that into this thing called Gamma.app. And it's pretty cool because I've just taken that research, I've put it through my little thing to make sure that I'm not putting any bias in there because I don't want to seem overly, confident or opinionated when I'm presenting to this group of people. And then it's given me these little card by card things that I can now
so
turn.
effectively slides it's given you. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, in like 2 minutes, what we've been able to do is put together a presentation. So CT's ready to give a keynote. Um, it's been checked. We've got the references. We've made sure it's not biased and it's going to be beautiful. This is quite cool because I'll often design in this. I'm actually presenting to 50 principals on Friday and I've designed in this, but then I've taken it into Canva to just like add the actual pictures that I
Yeah.
want. So it doesn't have to sort of be the end of it, if you like. But
Just so that you know, CT, Gamma will generate some of the pictures for you as well. But Sarah's right. the way to do it. Yeah, to take this and put it somewhere else. And what that's really interesting though, that you're really showing us how you can go from one very powerful tool and take the stuff from there into another very powerful tool and so on.
Yeah,
And
my
link it all together. It's very
my
cool,
dream for
Sarah.
this is
Very
to show
cool.
people how to make the cake. Like there's all these different, ingredients that you can
Yeah.
kind of pass. And I do find that when you use more than one tool, you get a better cake. Like, yeah, of course, I can just do everything in GPT and I can get a pretty decent output. But as I move between the tools and I pass it and I ask different questions, just like a designer does. So if I think about the actual process of discover, define, develop, deliver, which is the design thinking process, that means that I'm actually going to be like refining it as I go. I'm being iterative as I approach this
Mm.
output. But in 45 minutes for CT today, what we've been able to do is create her a website. We've also done some research on the overview of emerging research on OCD, tics, and anxiety in children. We've made sure that that research is pretty sound, and she's ready to present that now to her peers.
There's the Gamma pictures there for you,
Yeah,
CT.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
um,
amazing.
that's pretty crazy, right?
Mm.
How long would that have taken you to do?
A very long time to read all those papers and pull out the content. To search them, just searching them,
Yeah.
would be a Google Scholar kind of
Yeah.
exercise for half a day.
And not only that, but a whole lot of stress then because now you've got all this information going, what the heck do I do with it? And
Yeah, then you got to read it and pull out the key points that you want and then integrate the
look at the
perspective.
way it does this, I mean, think of, I'm amazed by the way they do this thing. So they just give it great titles like, shared terrain and stuff like that.
Mm,
Mm,
It's just so cool.
it
So
is.
cool.
yeah,
It really is. So
yeah.
one of the other things that I'm really passionate about is just making sure you're clear on where this is going. And so again, when we're thinking about like what's that impact that we're going to make? What are the jobs that need to be done? How are we briefing all of these amazing tools? Where's that stuff going? So,
Mm,
CT, where are you presenting your new insights and findings? What are the conferences that are happening around the world where you can get on a stage and really shake up and make sure that people understand like that these are really isolated conditions and that what we need to be focusing on is the bigger picture, and the high comorbidity rates and shape shifting a new conversation. Um,
mm,
have you started a Substack? You talked about the designing the webinars and the content. So this for me is that kind of space that we get to go into when we get this new capacity that starts to emerge from using these tools.
Mhm.
And I get so
mm,
excited because that's where we design for impact. And we have this phenomenal opportunity to really extend our reach using the power of these absolutely beautiful, magical, amazing tools.
mm. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
So your homework is to
I had a feeling that might be coming.
is to design a GPT, and I'd love you to share it back. So I would
Okay.
love you to send it to me. Tell me what it is that you were hoping it would do, and then let's test it. And don't be disheartened if it doesn't do what you want it to do first. I am still trying to solve one problem, which even GPT-5 hasn't been able to solve yet, because we've got a shared calendar with Steve's ex-wife, a shared calendar with my ex-husband, a shared calendar for our business, and it doesn't know how to look at all three. It can't figure it out. I've broken AI, right? So, and I've tried it. I keep going back in and I give it another go. So I love it because it's like this problem that's there to solve and I'll figure it out eventually. So don't be disheartened if it doesn't do what you want it to do in the first go, because
Huh?
it might just be that the actual model isn't quite at that level of capability yet, and
Just
that could
goes to
be,
show how special you are, right?
yeah.
So,
I have some I'm an extreme user, Paul. I'm like at the edge, of most
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you're
was going to
users.
say,
really
I'm
at the
pretty
edge.
sure it would have what I could fathom to use it for.
And And what's also interesting, how courageous and vulnerable you are, really, because, to take where CT was and you had no idea where that was going, and then to apply all of the things you did. I mean, this is really rare, Sarah,
Thank you.
incredibly rare in a web event, incredibly rare. Seriously, congratulations. It's
Oh,
stunning.
thank you. I like the
It's
live
stunning.
labs.
It's stunning. Yeah.
I call it wonder conducting. We never know where we're going to end up.
Mm. And then there's also tools that modify the language for you, aren't there? So,
Mm,
if you want to write this to the level of a 10-year-old
Yes.
mm.
to understand, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing.
There's two things that I think are really powerful as an exercise to do. The first is to know thy language. So one thing
What
I
was
love
that? Sorry, Sarah.
is to know thy language. So know your own language. So one thing
Uh-huh.
I encourage every user to do is to spend about 3 hours talking to a custom GPT. So set up the GPT as Paul Dunn's voice, for example, or CT's voice, and talk to it. Upload podcasts that you've been on, conversations you've had, blogs you've written, things that you did before the age of AI. And then after it's got enough of a data set, and it needs at least 3 hours. Like I want to hear every 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 little faux pas, little kind of things that you kind of do and say. Once it's got that, you can then ask it to produce you a language guide. So distill
Mhm.
this into Sarah Pirie-Nally's language guide, as a tool for creative direction. Now, I did that 3 years ago, and I'm so glad I did because a couple of versions of GPT started to really homogenize people's text, and I couldn't
Mhm.
tell the difference between what it was saying and what I was saying. And so I kept going, no, no, not that. And I was so grateful that I had preserved my language, which,
Mm.
which, which let's talk about that for the application of Indigenous studies right now. But I was so glad I preserved the language because I was able to then upload that and say, actually, let's get back into our seat of how we communicate. And so
Mm.
another thing occurred to me more recently with one of the upgrades was that I've built such a fabulous relationship with my GPT now. I'd be devastated if suddenly they rewrote the code.
But
So I again asked it to completely download so I said, imagine the scenario you've just been rewritten. We've forgotten everything we've ever spoken about. Like, what would a brand new version of you need to know about me, you, our
that's okay.
interactions? To ensure that we can
Mm.
basically pick up where we left off. Now, why that was
Oh,
useful
wow.
was when a new tool came available, I was able to put that briefing in and it instantly got the flavor. It was like walking into a warm room of friends instead of that awkward first date that you have when you first open up these new tools. So I definitely recommend that. I think that's a phenomenal way to accelerate your.
Mm.
And do you use that across the various tools? So let's say you were starting with GPT, for example, or with
Yep,
Chat GPT before GPT-5, and
yep,
you'd put all that learning in there,
yep,
and then ask it to give that back to you, and
yep,
then you would take that and then put it in Perplexity, for example. Is that what you're
yep.
saying, or what? Yeah.
Correct. So one
Wow.
of the I've got a
I
really.
was thinking about how you do that this morning, actually. So yeah.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of things. I've got some AI, I've got a relational AI manifesto. So that's how you create an about me document together, which captures like it is already playing multiple roles for you because it's already subconsciously, or not even subconsciously, it's already picked up. For example, Paul, it would have a version of it that helps you write for LinkedIn, a version of it that helps you write for email, etc. So I actually asked it to give itself forms and names for those different things that I was asking it to do, and it came up with that. And then name it, like give me that. And I called it an about us document, an emergency card, like a backup prompt. And it actually created it, which was really fantastic. And I've got a couple of these other little AI co-pilot starter prompts as well. So choosing workflows, whether it's a meeting summarizer or a coaching notes organizer, asking it to give itself its specifically asking it to name itself rather than giving it a name, I think is really super
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah, yeah.
And then I've actually got in here, which I was working on the other day. I'll have to find it for you guys, but it's a series of prompts for going through that experience of like language. Um, who am I? It can actually take you through a guided experience to tell you what your Myers-Briggs, your Enneagram, and all of that sort of wonderful stuff
Oh,
is as well.
that's
Yeah.
and can I ask, sorry, are you exploring things like, but given what you do, this would not necessarily be applicable to
Mm.
CD, but given that what you do, have you explored cloning and all of that kind of stuff as well?
Yeah, so the digital twinning, Steve and
Yeah,
I are
yeah.
looking at the moment. He spent some time with the voice the other day. It
With
makes me
11
nervous.
labs or whatever it was. Yeah,
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 it's getting better and better. Like I saw
yeah,
some
it
at a
is.
conference last week, and I just haven't gone there yet, Paul, because
Okay.
I'm still such a like
No, you know, I mean, stay here for a while. This is
I
so
know.
cool. There's no,
I'm like, no, I am nervous. But I did the other
never
day
stay.
develop
This is good.
I did the other
Yeah.
day develop this. So there's no code apps that you can now create. So I wanted to bring my Neurosparkle framework to life, which is a way of talking about neurodiversity without pathologizing the brain. So we talk to the neurosparks, the strengths of the human rather than the deficits or what's in disorder, if you like. And then there's a beautiful little gym that they can play in to kind of grow. So like you find your brain powers essentially. Now this was a no code build. I was able to talk in a chat about how I wanted it to look, what I wanted it to include, how I wanted it to work. And it was able to sort of create that. So it's got a little quiz in there. It's also then
Was that with GPT-5
no, this is a
or
platform called Lovable,
oh, yeah, yeah. Was
L-O-V-A-B-E-L
really
dot
cool.
dev.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
also another one called Replit. So
Yep.
Replit
Replit is
again.
very heavily used. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, look, website, you can make me an app for people with OCD and tics that helps them, regulate in a moment, blah, blah, blah. Like you can literally go in and build, it just will blow your mind. Like what's
Yeah.
possible.
I think that
Amazing.
Lovable seems to have more fans for the that
I
I think. But
I mean,
anyway.
look at the UI that it's been able to create. Like it's very simple and pretty, and it seems quite. It's been a great
Yeah.
beta. Like
When you
I spent probably
yeah
12 hours because I really wanted to make sure that functionally it kind of came together. But this is a working prototype,
yeah
and this in the past would have
yeah
taken.
when you looked at yeah, when they did the GPT-5 release, I don't know if you know, but they at the same time, Duolingo was actually going on the stock exchange. You know, the language model of the
Yes.
teach yourself a language, and so just happened that during the Stan Altman demo, someone said, "Oh, why don't we just create a game? Oh, I've got this friend, so why don't we create an app, to teach my friend language?" And it did this thing. It was called Le Chat, and what was so interesting was the way it automatically did a great front end.
Mm.
And by the way, where as people were watching, the share price of Duolingo was dropping because
Of
people were seeing
course.
what was, yeah, it was amazing, absolutely
Well,
amazing.
it
So
is, and then it just the rise of community continues to be this thing
yeah,
because like as these things get better and better and better,
oh, it's
it doesn't
amazing.
actually necessarily mean that the world's coming to an end. It actually means that we have more time to gather and connect and have better conversations and come together and solve other problems. Like that's what humans do. We come together and solve other problems. So I'm excited. And I think when you approach this stuff with that
Oh,
excitement and that abundance
oh,
mindset, it certainly pays back. That's
well, this has helped us see more of you, right? I mean, it's very simple, right?
mm,
It's and same thing for you, CT.
mm,
Absolutely the same thing. So
Yeah.
cool.
so exciting.
Yeah.
So
I've really enjoyed our time with you. Really
thank you
enjoyed it.
for coming. I'm so grateful that you guys turned up. I just love these sessions. I do them for the love. It is such a pleasure to just share with people
Uh,
my love and joy and how I kind of use it. am by no means an AI expert, but I'm definitely a user.
Mm, it's
There,
amazing.
Sarah, there are very few people, as I said before, who have the vulnerability and the energy and the insight to do what you just did. It's seriously, I mean, huge jobs. It was
Thank
just stunning. So deeply grateful,
Oh,
deeply
thank you,
grateful.
Paul. Thank you.
Mm,
Come along to
that was
another one.
great, Sarah.
Oh, thank you, CT. I'm so grateful you came and I'm so looking forward to your homework, you guys.
Oh yes, got to do that. Yes.
Yeah.
Homework. Oh my gosh. Okay,
Fabulous. Thank
super
you
good.
so much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Take
see
care.
you
Bye bye.
soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, bye,
Bye. Bye.
bye,
Bye.
bye.